Hello everyone, it's Michelle Patterson here with Angel Souls, and I want to start off this video this week by dedicating it to two people. One is a 2-year-old boy who I've only seen his name in print, so I'm not sure how to say his name, but I believe it's Loki Bloom, and to Tristan, who was 23 years old. Both Loki and Tristan have gone over to the other side, Loki at the end of last year and Tristan just this week. And the reason why I want to bring it up in this video is because, number one, please send your prayers up, as always. People might be in this mode of making fun of thoughts and prayers as if when people say that they're being dismissive. And we all know that that's not the case. We know that that is very, very powerful. Not only for the souls that went to the other side, but for their family. That is, they're now experiencing inexplicable pain. And, our help in any way that we can. I want to put that out there. But both Loki and Tristan were affected by addiction. And whenever these things happen, there's no good explanation. There's nothing good to say about it. There's not the right words to bring comfort to someone. But by not talking about it, I don't think that that is doing any honor to their souls. So if you are somebody who is struggling with addiction and you hear someone say, "Oh my gosh, how tragic, why don't they just get help?" If no one else understands, I understand. I have not myself ever dealt with drug addiction. I've never had that as an issue for me. But I've seen enough people who have, and I know that it's not something, it's so diminishing almost to say, just get help. If it were that easy, you would have done it, right? So I want to say you are loved, and there are people out there who understand. And yes, help is available. And yes, I would pray that you would reach out for help. But the reason why I bring up that other part is I don't want you to feel diminished when people try to just say, "Oh, it's an easy thing to fix. Why don't you just stop doing drugs? Why don't you just stop?" There are people out there who get it, and they want you to be okay. I want you to be okay. And for every family member who has, or friend who's lost somebody to addiction, I don't have anything to say, except I wish I could take your pain away. I wish I could undo it. I wish I had the magic words. I wish I could sit here and tell you that when we're spiritual, it fixes everything. It doesn't. It doesn't. When we believe in angels and we sit back and wonder why they didn't jump in, I don't know. I don't have that answer. I wish I did. But I'll offer you only what I can with my love, my support, human to human. I wish nobody ever, ever, ever had to experience what you've experienced. And in saying that, I send my love to Tristan's family and to Loki's family. What you're going through is unimaginable. And I hope I can do this small part with my small community and maybe send even more love your way. So, having said that, I'm going to get into this week's reading. This would be for February 4th, 2019. Okay, please forgive the glasses. I need them. Okay, I need them. I know my ring light's going to be flashing off of them, but let's just read this Autowrite. Lighter times are coming is basically what they're saying. Deeper understanding, more care to be taken. So again, it's this feeling of it's a slow process, and everybody wants these dazzling messages every week, and unfortunately there are people out there who will give them to you. Okay, but I hope you'll hang with me, and I hope you'll feel, what's really going on here. More concern and care for others. So I started off this video by dedicating it to Loki. Again, I hope I'm saying this beautiful little boy's name correctly, and Tristan. When we say more care needs to be taken, we need to pay attention to our instincts. We need to pay attention to, especially I'm thinking more in terms of like young children, all right? You know, it makes me wonder if someone didn't see, and this isn't to blame the families. Oh my gosh, no. Although there was, I don't understand the whole case, so I don't want to sit here and say it was so-and-so's fault. I think it's being investigated now, but, you know, I wonder if there wasn't something, you know, the community could have done to protect that child, you know, what have you. Do we all need to, you know, stop just shaking our heads and going, tisk, tisk, what a sad tragedy, and start asking ourselves, well, could we have done something? You know, could we? And I know it's a question we've been asking for forever, but I think we get so disheartened because an answer doesn't come right away that we give up on it. And what I'm offering here is like when we talk about we need to have more concern and care for others, maybe not jump to conclusions. Maybe don't do this thing where you're saying, well, it's not my problem, you know, I'm not going to get involved. And I don't know that people did that, but you know, especially when it comes to children and we see how they're being mistreated sometimes, and we might step back and be like, well, they're not my kids. A long time ago, I gave this example here at my apartment complex. This gentleman doesn't live here anymore, but he would yell. He was just really, really loud. He's always yelling. And I was very, very, you know, I stopped and listened and watched. And as I started to see him, he's always outside. As I started seeing him more and more, I realized he's just a loud dude. Like the kids didn't seem like they were being terribly affected, but definitely I didn't care if somebody thought that I was sticking my nose in. If the safety of children might be compromised. I'm a woman over 40 who never had kids with a Cancerian moon. I mean, every kid is my kid. You know, I've got all this pent up mommy energy maybe, but you know, I'm going to be on the lookout. And I want to offer this because I think that's part of the message here is to be looking out for one another. Now, if somebody is struggling with addiction, that is, you know, I imagine a very, very dark place to be in. And I'm not going to sit here and talk like as if I know exactly what you're going through if you've been through it yourself, because I don't. All I know is I want to offer love and I want to offer help. I think a lot of times, sometimes we don't know how to offer help. So maybe open, if you're willing, you know, if you're somebody who's struggling, open up and start letting us know what that's like, okay? And see if someone can maybe help. But I think people get so scared of what other people are going through as if tragedy is contagious, okay? And the spiritual community doesn't help with that. You know, oh, negative energy. Oh, it's going to put your energy into negativity. And how many people are going who are sad, who are depressed? I mean, we can go down that road too, who are extremely depressed and they're afraid to tell anybody, or they're afraid of being seen as weak or what have you. And then on the other side of it, we have people, unfortunately, who take advantage of that, who really, they're not really struggling, and yet they're trying to make it sound like they're struggling so that people feel sorry for them. I know, it's not easy. But we can't really turn away. We have to, I think the energy of this week is kind of going, okay, I'm going to get okay with not having the answers, but I'm not going to give up on looking for the answers. And I'm not going to be afraid to have that conversation. And I'm not going to be afraid to, you know, keep my heart open in case someone needs it, okay? Needs some love and support, all right? So they go on to say, most believe they are desensitized, but this is not the case. You have believed that these things are beyond your control, but they are here to grab your attention. Okay, so all these happenings that people are like, oh, I'm so sensitive, I can't handle this. I'm too sensitive to look at this. I can't. People are getting hurt. Children are having things happen to them that we got to stop it. We've got to stop it somehow. Let's have an open conversation, especially if you're a social worker. You know, let us know. Let us know how that goes. It says, you will see where you have shut down your hearts. You will see where you have gone astray. So this is a week, even on a personal level, where we're, you know, not just looking at, you know, social, I don't know, what's the word? Social destruction and social downfalls. Yes. But maybe we can start, you know, kind of opening up our own perspective and not taking everything so heavily. And so we don't feel so exhausted when somebody else needs an extra lift up. And I know people are going to start leaving comments like, oh, you can't help anybody who doesn't want help. I understand that. And I'm in no way, shape, or form saying like, we need to go in and be each other's saviors. But I think what this is saying, we shut down our hearts because I think we get so overwhelmed. And, I didn't mention that beautiful 2-year-old boy back when it happened because I'll admit I couldn't take it. The very thought of it. And then when I saw it this morning, I actually looked up his photo. And I can't even go there. I can't even go there. Such a beautiful little angel. I can't even go there. But, we do. When we feel overwhelmed, we'll shut down. And this is a week where we're learning how to process our own lives a little bit more. Okay, not perfect. Like, everything doesn't turn around in a day, right? But when we stop taking things in our lives as like the end of the world, we leave a little more capacity for people who are really, really struggling. I hope that makes sense, okay? And you will welcome the knowledge. So this is in a weird way, it's a very, very freeing kind of week. There's a lighter energy coming in. We're having more understanding. We're looking at things and going, okay, that can never happen again. What can we do? And people are showing up with open arms and saying, we're here to help. Come on in, we're here to help. This can be a time of easy flow, but do not forget your brothers and sisters. With all love, angels. So again, as we as individuals, we start growing and developing and we're on a track, we're going to have a man down here and there. And this is a huge message to, you can't properly ascend without taking your brothers and sisters with you. We've said that since the beginning when all this started to become like big popular talk. And it's messy and it's not a very concise message this week because there's this message of like, okay, yes, there's a lighter flow, but I feel like that more feels like now we're in a lighter, not a lighter place as in like we're skipping down the street, but in, okay, I can handle this now. Okay, you're not alone. Okay, we see you. Yes, there are people who do care. Yes, there are people who, want to help and who will do so in a healthy way. Okay, when we're not being depleted. So let's get on to the cards. So I swear every week I try to plan out when I sit down to film so that I don't get that bead of light going across my face. And I think it was going across my face during the first part of this. I keep experimenting with different times and unless I record at night, I don't think I can avoid, the sun shifting and coming in my face. So if that was doing that, I'll know when I go back and edit. I do apologize. So this week I'm going to be using the Magdalene Oracle. We'll pull a color card and let's just see what's going on. Now, I want to make it very clear, I'm talking about some heavy stuff here. But I also want to say that this is a week where the energy starts to shift. Because we're having this deeper understanding of what's going on, we're now in a bigger capacity to help. We're now in a better way to kind of make things nicer, okay? So, and we have a dog outside, barking his head off. All right, so let's get into it here. First card up, we have Eternal Embrace. Now, this deck, this author has their own interpretations within the book, but in the context of what we're talking about this week, I really feel like this is talking about we have a soul responsibility to one another. No man left behind, right? We have a responsibility to process, just because it's not our experience doesn't mean somebody is not going through it. Doesn't mean that someone at some point isn't going to experience it. I think this is really supposed to be about karmic relationships and all that stuff. And people love it. They eat that up. But we got a bigger problem at hand. So let's step out of our existence about, is that person my karmic love partner? Maybe, but because I think it could mean that this eternal embrace could talk about a karmic cycle. And if we do want to look at the individual just for a moment, yeah, that could mean that you're cycling around with somebody. Doesn't mean you're meant to be with them. So be careful with that. On a grander scale, I think this asks that question of how long are we going to suffer? How long are we going to struggle? How long until we figure out a way to start turning the energy around and accepting that we can? Part of the problem is a lot of people will shove that off and say, no, that's impossible. But we need to find a way to make it possible. through wisdom. And the divine feminine, we have Sophia here. So this is really saying, if you do tap into your wisdom, tap into the mother energy. Just as I was explaining, I feel like I'm everyone's mom, right? Even people who are like, okay, you need to back off. I am 5 years old, but I've been there. I've done that. I know you're heading down, like seriously, bridge out ahead. Don't do that to yourself, right? So the Sophia card, we want to approach people and others with balance, because we don't want to be degrading about like, oh, I can't trust you to live your life. But, when we tap into, again, it comes down to that divine feminine aspect. When we're really tapped into the emotions, our instincts, our intuition, that will pop and it'll tell us someone needs a little more help, or I shouldn't go down that direction or go in that direction, or, I should maybe double check on those kids that I saw down the road, make sure they're okay. And you can do so in a not so invasive way. I did it, like I said, I gave the example here on my property. It just so happened that the guy lived not far from where my garage is, and they were always out on the balcony, right? So I could kind of like slow my roll a little bit as I'm walking by and just kind of check it out. And then I realized he's just loud. He's just, blah. You can't say anything normal without screaming, and the kids just seem fine with it. So again, it's tap into, I want to say, the parental instinct for yourself, for the people you love. We need to act more like family, because we are. No matter if you feel like someone is so beyond where you are, oh, you are just not woke, and so, bleh, again, I'll say that, bleh, right? Yes, they're not woke, therefore you're not as good as me. Give it a rest, okay? You're no better by saying that. You know what I'm saying? Like, ew. So, see, do not as I do. Don't judge people. See, we're all work in progress, right? But we want to be careful with that. We want to be careful with this, just assuming that someone's not worth our time because, well, they screwed up their life. They're addicted to drugs. They're homeless. They're, well, you're the one who decided to drop out of school, or you didn't marry who I said you should marry, or blah, blah, blah. We can't just be writing each other off, I think, is what we're getting at here. This is going to make more sense, I think, as the week goes on and we see things pop up. The Prophet. So this is a week where there is some global messaging, yes, things that come up and it's like, okay, no. Now we like to put these ideas into neat little boxes and be like, oh, there's going to be an institution in Romania that gets exposed. Maybe it hits the news. Oh my gosh. Well, guess what? That's been a problem for a very, very long time, and nobody talks about it, okay? We deinstitutionalized the United States, so we thought, but there's plenty of people with intellectual disabilities who are not being properly cared for, and, there's so much, but the prophet says, hey, things are going to be revealed, things are going to be shown, and let's not get hung up on the exact examples, you know what I'm saying? Like, there could just be there could be reports coming out. This is what it feels like. Reports coming out. And it does feel like it's children-centric. It's very children-centric. It might be woman-centric as well. We had those events last week where it was just these misogynists going out and doing horrible things towards women. And guys, I know you're not all misogynistic. I do love you. We love you. But this prophet card talks about, boom, like things just sort of like lighting up, being seen. Oh my gosh. And it's not like we didn't know that it was a problem. It's just, as we said before, we just didn't know what to do with it. And now we see it's forcing our hand. The message is here. What are you going to do with it? Okay. I don't know what that means. So I guess I'm right there with you. We'll figure it out. Divine order. Not getting away with it anymore. Okay, kids, we're not going to put up with you fighting anymore. We're not going to be putting up with you being mean and disregarding one another. It's divine order time. These two cards together. Well, forget it. Let's put all of them up. I mean, this is like divine intervention, I want to say. This is like, okay, you guys have been fighting. You haven't been taking care of each other. You're not tapped into your wisdom. We've been telling you to knock it off. Boom. Mommy, daddy comes home. Okay. And I don't know how this is going to look. I don't think this is all just going to play out in 1 week. But whatever it is, there's this sense of unpleasantness of having to look at something, and then this sense of, okay, finally we're addressing it. Finally, we're taking care of it. Think about some of the instances that have happened, again, violence towards children that have occurred. And yes, there are organizations that get started around this. The Sandy Hook Promise is one of them. I'm involved with that. And then people just forget. And then, it happens again. It's like, oh my God, I can't even look at that. That's what they were talking about in the Autowrite. You think you're being desensitized to it, but really what you're doing is you're so overwhelmed that you're shutting down and going, I can't. And I know it well because I've done it myself. All right. So there's something about the energy of this week where we start going, okay, I don't want to look at it, but we got to do something for these kids. We have to do something for society's most vulnerable. We have to figure out, I've said this before, in my hometown, I'm from Northwest Ohio, and there's a heroin epidemic of proportions that, like, I feel like it's Armageddon. It's a form of Armageddon. What is happening? What was that Bird Box movie? Ooh, that hit closer to home than I think most people realize. Okay? The unseen force coming, and like people just can't control themselves. Like, ooh, the zombie theory. I mean, ooh, it's already here. It's already happening. Okay? So, sorry, I'm not trying to like scare everybody, but at the same time, it's time to not look away anymore. So I'm sorry that it's kind of a weird, it's kind of a conflicting message. Like there's this, like we're happy that we're finally pinpointing what's going on, and we start to see a road ahead, and we start to not let people die in vain without noticing the message that they bring us. Bronze, strengthen your body. The number is 14, reduces to 5. Drastic change. Okay. So get fortified, get your bodies strong, get your minds strong. All right. Because we're being called up. We're being called up to do something. And it may not be in the manner that you always imagined, but it's going to be, you can't look away anymore. That's not an option. Pretending like it's not there is no longer an option. All right. We're going to leave it there. Please converse down below. If you are somebody who just wants to make trouble and, claim, oh, you're not spiritual, we're not doing that. We're not playing that game. Okay. But please, if you are like a social worker, or you're in, you're a first responder, or you're the family of somebody who struggles with addiction, or any of those things, if you've experienced anything that we've talked about here, please leave your comments down below, one, so that we can see you and we can support you. And also so that we can understand, the better we understand, maybe, the clearer the solutions will be. We'll see. We're going to leave it there. I'm sending you so much love, and take care.